Human beings are social animals. They cannot live as human beings outside of a social context. That is impossible to be human. To be purely individualist. That's not possible. That rankles a lot of people. I don't do that. Off the top of my head, I can think of at least 10 other people who are far more deserving of this recognition than I am. And yet I am grateful for this recognition. I'm quite aware of the fact that in so honoring me, you are saluting my fellow workers, associates, and supporters. In short, the St. Paul Foundation is acknowledging my community, acknowledging the hood. The hood and its friends, and others who are earnestly engaged in the long and arduous struggle for social justice in America. Racism is the most intractable of all of our nation's social problems. It has been a major dynamic in American society since the inception of the American Republic. The founding fathers assured us of this birth defect. That's what it is. The founding fathers, many of them, were classical white supremacists. And I start with Thomas Jefferson. I advance it as a suspicion only. That whether originally a distinct race or made distinct by time and circumstances, the blacks are inferior to the whites, both in the endowments of the mind and body. That's a classical statement by Thomas Jefferson. And if I'm to believe what George Wills, a very conservative man, believes, and I believe what he said, even though I'd like not to be caught in the same room with him. George Wills said that everything that's true is derivative, and everything that's not is false. I believe that. Ideas don't have color or political position. That's what I believe. That everything that's true in this world is derived from something. It doesn't come out of the sky, that human beings do. So the founding fathers were the authors of what we are living out, this idea of race. This act that they put in the Constitution is found in the very first article, Section 1, Article 1, Section 3, Paragraph 2. This essential fact that's in that article, black people were defined as 3/5 of other persons. The only such people in the world who have been both property and people at the same time. Black people were seen as property up until 1865. Officially, they were excluded from the human race. We have to understand that American people, in the generality, know very little about America because they only know the even surface and not the uneven bottom.
All right. Wow.
The essential facts in the Constitution, first article, that is to say, the past never really passes. That's William Faulkner. Another white supremacist, a great author, but nevertheless a white supremacist. I agree with that statement because it doesn't have a color. The past never passes. You can't get past the past, Jack. Ever since then, ever since they set the place, the myth of race and the reality of racism has been a drag on the moral development of America. and the moral struggles at the heart of the fight for democracy in America. Racism is a blatant enemy of the ideals of democracy. Let us call on the wisdom and compelling words of Judge William Hastie, the first Black American appointed to a federal judgeship, who was also the first cousin of Third Ward Marshall. Judge Hastie says to us these incredible words: democracy is a process and not a static condition. It is being, not being, but becoming. It can be easily lost and never fully won. And its essence is eternal struggle. That's what I think about democracy. It's about struggle. If there's no struggle, there is no progress, said Frederick Douglass.
That's right.
Absolutely a democratic statement. It's not fixed in a position that you can ship to Iraq. That's impossible. You can't ship it to Holland.
Can we get more than that?
I'm thoroughly convinced that the problems that are generated by the false consciousness of race can be solved. What is made by humankind can be unmade by humankind. And I'm equally convinced that nothing can be solved that can't be faced. Nothing can be solved that can't be faced. I wish again to commend the St. Paul Foundation, however related, for its institutional and creative response to the ill deeds generated by the ideology of white supremacy. And it is an ideology. It's not a color. White is not a color. It's a state of mind. It's even a moral choice. Sad to say, this reality is more American than flags, baseball, or apple pie. Finally, I would like to challenge our young people, the youth of every color and ethnicity, to struggle themselves as individuals and with and among their peers, to understand this doctrine, white supremacy, is which spoils every virtue that our nation holds dear. It is the enemy of human progress. Further, you must struggle to understand that we are not put on this earth simply and only to be happy.
All right.
That's a major American affliction, happiness.
Yes.
Television watching and playing video games is not the whole of the story of life. There's a higher reality, a higher purpose to being a conscious human being. And that is why we call on you young people to be responsible, to be useful, to be compassionate, to count for something, to make it matter that you lived at all. Each generation, out of relative obscurity, must discover its own mission and either fulfill it or betray it. The charge is yours. We who are products, people my age, who came out of the 60s and who are proud products of the civil rights movement, did meet our moral assignment. Yes, we did. We got rid of the ugliest face of racism, what Dr. Du Bois called a series of little meannesses of humiliating people publicly, on the buses, and the train stations, the toilets, and the restaurants. Racism is a public evil which causes private pain. That's what it is, y'all. It's a legal, cultural, historical phenomenon that we must get rid of. And I charge all of us to first examine yourself, as Socrates said. An unexamined life is a life not worth living. We need to examine ourselves. I know I took up too much time. But I apologize. I apologize. I have a kinship with Native Americans. I don't go to and I've been to many Native American meetings. They're brilliant. The one thing I always do when I go to Native American meetings is I know I'm going to sit for a while. And I don't mind. And the reason why they talk so long because they have not been allowed to talk.
Go ahead. Talk about it. Talk about it.
We are different spirits. We come from an improvisational culture. I'm sorry, America. I'm sorry about being improvisational. Fit this over there, that over there, you can't be anywhere but there. No. So thank you. You know, the foundation for the people who represent me, and thank you very much. I want you to know, it sounds strange because I don't sound that way. But I love people. I really do. Of any color. Love really at bottom is an act of the will.
Got to love the elders. I know. Got to love.
We now honor Steve Peterson, Executive Leadership Team Member of the Diversity Resource Action Alliance, serving Alexandria and Central Minnesota. In addition to his volunteer work with the Alliance, Steve is a farmer